From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2026, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, August 31st, 2016. From earthquakes to wildfires, Amateur Radio has been there this week. We have team coverage. As emergency personnel continued to search for survivors, Italian amateurs began conducting emergency operations on the bands. Hams throughout the region were instructed to keep 7060 kilohertz, plus or minus 10 kilohertz, and 3643.5 kilohertz clear. Offers of assistance have arrived from France, Israel, Germany, and other nations. Details were still developing, and Amateur Radio Newsline will continue to follow this story.
We look now at Amateur Radio's response in another crisis, the California fires. In San Bernardino County's fire district, a ham group has been supplying support for two major wildfires in just the past 2 weeks. As of Tuesday, August 23rd, the Blue Cut fire has scorched nearly 58 square miles and closed off some key transportation highways as well. Amateur Radio Newsline's Kent Peterson, KC0 DGY, spoke with Keith Morris, KC6ZGG.
Keith is the Chief Radio Officer for the San Bernardino County Fire Office of Emergency Services.
San Bernardino County is the largest county in the United States, larger than a couple of states in the continental United States as well. We do know that the last count was 105 single-family homes were destroyed. This is really our second major call-out this season. Staffing is a challenge. We're not a huge group, considering the large area that we cover. And on top of that, with the Cajon Pass having been closed for a couple of days, we had to rely on whatever personnel we already had in the desert, which is not a lot. We have more of our personnel in the mountain and the valley areas.
Unfortunately, weather conditions have again been good for new fire development.
We have some monsoonal flow coming in, bringing us thunderstorms, unfortunately. Not very wet. So mostly what we're getting out of it is dry lightning. We go for days with nothing, and then a lightning strike that happened days earlier will get a little bit of wind in it, and that starts another fire.
Morris describes one key role the local amateur radio group fills.
We are the technical and logistical support group for the fire department command post. When those units get deployed, we have a technical team that will be on the ready and, if not already deployed, to go out with those units and support any of their needs while they're in the field. We make sure that they're taken care of, because obviously in the end, if they got to take care of everybody, and all of us that are in this organization live in this area, so we all have vested interest in making sure that they get the support that they need.
For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Kent Peterson, KC0DGY.
Why does the ionosphere behave as it does? At a newly reopened research facility once owned by the U.S. military, university researchers are about to ask the same question.
High-frequency radio researchers in Alaska are about to embark on a behavioral study of the most powerful kind. The scientists will be looking at the properties and behavior of the ionosphere, utilizing what is believed to be the world's most capable high-power HF transmitter. All this work is to be done at the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, or HAARP facility, when it reopens in 2017. The FCC has granted HAARP a pair of experimental service licenses to conduct the research at the facility, which is now owned by the University of Alaska at Fairbanks, which acquired it from the U.S. Air Force. HAARP's research involves beaming radio waves straight up for hundreds of miles, sometimes with such power that the effects create an artificial aurora. Much of the research has applications in satellite communications and navigation. License WI2XFX will cover testing between 2.62 MHz and 8.1 MHz. And license WI2XDV will cover the part of the spectrum between 1 and 40 MHz. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jim Dameron, N8TMW.
Finally this week, news from the Tokyo Ham Fair about new rigs from ICOM.
ICOM's IC7610 will replace the IC7600 as a 100-watt base station with built-in antenna tuner and capability for HF and 50 megahertz. A special edition handheld model was also introduced, the ID51 Plus 2, which permits D-Star calls through the internet, even in areas without access to D-Star repeaters. Though ICOM revealed the samples, the company did not unveil details on prices or the product's launch dates. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Mike Askins, KE5CXP.
As always, there's much more to these stories and others, and you can hear it all in this week's Amateur Radio Newsline report. And on the Newsline website, a Newsline Extra, the full audio from the 15-minute Young Ham of the Year presentation at the 2016 Huntsville Hamfest. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting, at www.arnewsline.org. With Stephen Kenford, N8WB, Kent Peterson, KC0DGY, Jim Dameron, N8TMW, Mike Askins, KE5CXP, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.